Welcome to Speaking Prowess, the show that supercharges your communication and fuels unstoppable success. Sifu Rafael, visionary founder and world-renowned master instructor, elevates leaders into unforgettable communicators who command the room and inspire action. Alongside him is Schilling, the authentic connector, a business growth expert with 40 years of experience, empowering audiences to rise higher, succeed faster, and thrive with purpose. Together, they bring you the strategies, insights, and inspiration to amplify your voice, expand your influence, and unlock your true potential. This is Speaking Prowess. Your journey to communication mastery starts now.
Happy Friday, Scott. How are you doing today, buddy?
Happy Friday. I am fabulous. And the good news is I'm still getting better too.
I love it. I love it. So we have two incredible human beings, and I love the conversation we're going to be having on the power of human connection. Oh, wow. It's so dear to me because every day, that's what drives me. I know it drives you too, because you've connected with so many people along your journey. And let's bring them on. Let's go for it.
Let's not wait any longer. Let's make it happen.
Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Good morning.
Human connection. Wow. But there's power in that. Talk to us about that.
Real connection, not just pitching. Real connection actually is when you actually get to know people. And I have that saying, it's not just know, like, and trust, it's know, like, and believe. And you get to know people, you get to understand about them. And when you get to know people, magic happens, opportunities happen. And like the world becomes your oyster.
So not that Jacqueline doesn't know this, and hello and good morning. And the whole idea of morning, isn't morning just an interesting thing? As if morning ends at noon. It's so interesting. Like it's, as if somehow we're not in the morning after noon. So maybe it's always morning. That's number one. But number two, on the back end of what Jacqueline's saying, we don't just get to know people. They get to know us. Mm-hmm. You get to know me. Connection is a two-way street. It's a bilateral thing. It isn't just a matter of keeping your eyes open and learning what they are and hopefully they'll get me. No. It's a matter of really getting that connection is a two-way circuit. It's a requirement that it be a two-way street or it's not a connection.
Well, if you think about electricity, if you took a wire and all of a sudden separated two strands of wire, it's not connected. So, the electricity wouldn't flow.
So in the world of massive synchronicity, Scott, I feel like I have to build on that as well. So let me just give you a breakdown briefly of what my morning is so this context makes sense. I woke up into cosmic nature this morning at a level that I'm not very used to. And my cats confirmed it. All three of them were in a new level of like awareness as they were zooming around. They were doing stuff that they don't do. So there's like an energy in this home right now. And I woke up to this really amazing conversation with a friend. And then did some breathing, some Wim Hof breathing with a group of men I'm with before I did the show here. And electricity itself became the theme in my meditation. So it's completely odd and interesting. The cord for my charger came out of the wall, and instantaneously my charger wasn't charging because the cord came out of the wall, like that. It got snapped. That's just what happened. I was like, look at electricity. My dad is an electrician. I was born into the world of my dad being deeply interested in how electricity works, not because he was a scientist. He was a blue collar dude, but I really got to start taking a look at who is this Tesla guy? Who is this Edison guy? Like, what were they thinking? How the hell did they pull that off? And it's it's about the magic of the invisibility of the connection between two things that does require this really rapid understanding of a two-way street of frequencies and energies. So thanks for tapping on that again and allowing me to see the massive synchronicity of my cosmic morning.
Well, certainly it's almost like I knew that, but I didn't. No, I mean, I think that's the interesting part. There's so much power in human connection, and I think it's something that, quite frankly, people are craving these days. I Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was at 5 live events, and it was just amazing to see the energy in the room because people were connecting face to face. There were actually conversations going on. People were actually interested in each other. They weren't necessarily just trying to be interesting. They were working to be interested and ask questions and learn about people. And I was blessed to see some friends that I hadn't seen in quite some time. Absolutely fascinating when you re-enter that live experience again.
Oh,
and man, people are just craving it these days. You can just tell.
People really are craving the connection. I mean, there's so many people who realized after the pandemic how they missed that human connection. They missed the face-to-face, and it was the realization that powerful, being in the room with somebody in the room. Yes, we love electronics and because we get to do what we're doing right now, but that human touch, the human, like embracing somebody in a hug because you haven't seen them in a while, shaking somebody's hand. I mean, and as Fred and Scott were just saying, the energy, people feed off of each other's good energy. So when you always say to people, before you walk into the room, leave the baggage behind you, walk in with the good stuff, right? And and it was that realization that we said, oh, I need to be there. I need to be connecting with people. And now that I start connecting with people, I feel better too.
Yeah.
We vibe up, the energy, and you're talking about things that you're listening to this morning. We're talking about the reasons behind manifestation and the quantum physics and the quantum energy behind all the things that are in there, and how energy is so part of that. But that connection that you have with people, it's so powerful when people get together and want to be together and want to learn about each other, and not just, they're not just there to sell, but they're there to get to know.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, many years ago, about maybe 25, 28 years ago, I was at a conference, and I walked into this room and I said, what is going on? Because there was different conferences going on. And I walked into this one and it was about networking, connecting with another human. And so what I did is I put my bag down and I went and introduced myself to everybody that was on the same table. It was a long table. And everybody, it's like they didn't want to be there. It was the worst networking event I'd ever been to. And nobody, and they weren't even talking to each other. They just wanted to learn how to connect. And they were there waiting for the speaker to start speaking, to teach them how to connect. And there I am, silly me. What do you know? We're here to connect. How you doing? I'm Rafael. Nice to meet you. What do you do? And why are you here? And what's happening in your life? And they're like, I'm just here for the event. Okay, next. I'm just here for the event. What brought you in today? I just want to learn how to connect. Here I am.
You made a mistake. You made the mistake of trying to connect at a network event.
Oh my goodness. Would you believe? This is about 28 years ago. And I was like, wow, very interesting. And then when the speaker came up, he talked about concepts. He didn't talk about real connection. He didn't even say, let's take 5 minutes and introduce yourself to the person next to you. It was the coldest room I was in. And it was also in Las Vegas. So it's very interesting that over 300 people in the room, and I'm looking around at this point, nobody's connecting.
Fascinating.
I'm the only oddball. I'm the only oddball. What do you know? I was like, wow, I think I need to leave this room.
Well, I think what's interesting about that is you said it was 28 years ago. And I don't know that a lot of things have changed. We've actually probably cycled a whole new generation that has never learned how to connect, that doesn't do it. And it's not a knock on the younger generations. I think, quite frankly, it's some of the older generations' challenge that we didn't insist upon helping them connect. That we didn't pass down the value of the connection. And that's why I think this is such an important topic to talk about. Again, I think sometimes people think when you call out the challenge or the problem that you're being judgmental. It's not about being judgmental at all. It's about taking some responsibility, because we could have done a better job. My generation could have done a better job of downstreaming some of the information. But then the other side is, just because we didn't do it in the past doesn't mean we can't do it today. Yeah. I talk to my millennial kids about this all the time.
I love that, Scott. And, one of the things that I noticed about this topic was last weekend, we went to a dinner party. And it was with, great people. It was incredible food. It was outdoors. It was a beautiful afternoon, Sunday. And it's about 12 real people there, eye to eye, hugs and handshakes and, the whole thing, right? Like passing food to each other, the whole non-rectangular lifestyle. And the two things that I noticed that were different than previous generations and worth noting. One is on the acute level, meaning we're coming off this space where it was really discouraged that we'd be, we all know what we're talking about. And from 2020 to 2025 or 4, it was very discouraged that anyone would connect. And if you did, you couldn't even see what they were saying, like that. And so there's an awkwardness in getting back together. Even though we all crave it, there's like, okay, how do I do this again? Like, there's like a rustiness, even though we crave it. It's not as easy and smooth sailing, which it wasn't before, but it was more smooth sailing before than it is now. It's like how do I do this kind of thing? And the second thing that I've noticed that's on the back of that is, oftentimes I think what's going on now is there are so many topics that we have to stay off of. And some of those topics are the topics we think about all the time when we're not connected. So we're actually not connecting with the things that are bothering us when we're not connecting. And so we're not really allowed to speak to the things that are rolling around that are, adverse, whatever, that could create adversary or it could create distraction or, what's the word? Like the cool word is, I think, divisive. It's like, so we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. We can't talk about that thing. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about him. We don't talk about her, but we try to connect anyways, even though that shit actually rules our life when we're not connecting.
Right. We're on eggshells. Fred, I love that you brought that up. And it's because so many people wonder about like what to connect on, right? Like, what can I bring up? And typically what do people always say? You don't want to talk about, politics and religion, right? But at the same time, it's we have to learn again. We have to educate about I think something that's true and what makes things go around is that we have to learn to agree to disagree. You and I can talk about a topic, but we can, and that creates discussion and that creates, debate, you have to agree to be able to disagree. We have to get back to knowing that we are not going to love everything somebody has to say about a topic, but we have to get back to, again, being able to agree to disagree and being okay with it. I don't want to turn you on to my, what I believe, and I don't want you to try to get me to believe what you believe, and vice versa. We just can debate a point, and at some point, there's no right or wrong in the debate. It's just explaining views. And we're so afraid of it, but we have to get back to that, because creating that discussion and being able to share, that actually is what makes things get better.
No,
right?
Even more, none of the zero, like a straight bagel of these problems are going to be solved if we don't do what you said.
Right. We have to be able to discuss.
One of my platform has been for years to return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet. Respect is how I treat you. Honor is how I lift you up. When we do that well together, we both experience dignity.
Right.
The reality is, just because we're putting respect, honor, and dignity back in doesn't mean we have to agree with things. And one of my friends a number of years ago, I think, created one of the greatest statements available for freeing people up for human communication and human connection. And that was, learn to be unoffendable. Just stop being offended by everything. My guess is that most people don't intend it to offend anyway. And so the offense is taken in the recipient. It's not necessarily even taken in the communicator, the one that's doing it. And learn to become unoffendable just because somebody says something. If I said, Sifu's got green hair, is he going to start crying because I said he's got green hair? Or is he going to say, hey, I can take that because he knows I have great self-esteem and he's just kidding with me? Or is he going to melt and go, oh my God, he said I have green hair, I must be the dredge of the earth? We've taken this, that's, again, a big part of my platform is helping people message and communicate. Just because we say something doesn't mean it was meant with offense behind it. It's like, become unoffendable and understand it's about lifting people up. And when we stay in that place and are a living example of that consistently, then people can see it and understand there was no malintent behind it.
And one, it's again, as you just said, it's like the receiver is like how they take it. It's like an embarrassment, right? Like, you can either be embarrassed or you can have fun with it, but that's the person, that's your mental, like, that's how you're perceiving people to think about something that is happening. And it's your choice to be offended by something or not, but it's a choice.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting to consider the idea that this is also part of the breathing conversation this morning. So synchronicity again. This idea that there's an intentionality behind some of these things that actually starts a sequence. So we back off to the place where intention, like Scott says, you get that it wasn't intentionally offensive, and therefore it changes its quality. It was, you were offended, and somehow you can diffuse it if you get that the other person had no actual malintent.
Right.
It's so interesting that changes the exact experience, because we give intention so much credit for what we now can do. And now you're saying another couple things that are intentional. We can choose to be offended. We can choose to be embarrassed. And therefore, we can choose not to be offended or choose not to be embarrassed. And it is at those intersections that life becomes so interesting.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead, Jacqueline.
No, I was just going to say, it's one of those things that I feel that Scott, you were talking about, like, what we teach our youth. Like, right before the show, we were talking about my son. I've got 2 kids. He's heading off to college. And literally, it's like one of those things that that I feel that we try to teach here in our house is how do you react to somebody interaction with you, and you can take it and be annoyed by it, or you can say, you're like, oh, well, that's how they do. I'm just going to try to make it better, right? But we try to teach it so as we see some of that frustration, like it's a choice. You can be frustrated with it, or you can try to figure out a way to fix it, or you can just brush it off and just be like, all right, that's how it is.
I wanted to talk about what Scott said also about it's our responsibility to teach the youth how to connect, right?
Mhm.
The youth.
Sorry.
Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, my cousin Vinny. Anybody says you, I'm like, do you?
So one of the things that we do, because I teach children as well, and they have to get their card. So they come into the front desk, they have to learn how to say hello to somebody. And they have to say, they don't just, and usually when they come in, hi, can I have my card? I'm like, nope. They're like, what do I need to say? I said, let's start with, how are you? And then they'll say, how are you? Can I have my card? I said, no. You did not wait for my response. And they're like, oh. Now,
what a hassle.
We're continually teaching the
Come on,
concept
Sifu, give it to me.
listening. Is not just me, because sometimes it's someone else at the front desk. And it's about listening to what the other person said, because a lot of times when somebody says, how are you? And maybe you say, I'm not doing well. I got sciatica. My left foot hurts. My elbow's pain. And then you're like, oh, great. Thank you so much. And then move on. But we're not actively listening. So one of the things I'm teaching the youths is to listen, right? Because listening is a skill that has to be developed, especially with children, because they want to be heard, but they don't want to hear. And so the other thing that a lot of times I'll see kids doing things and I'll go, excuse me, Tommy, what's her name? I don't know. I'm like, well, go find out. And then I'll say, do you know Tommy's name? And she'll go, you just said it. I'm like, yeah, but do you know his name? Yeah, I know his name. I'll say, what's his favorite color? What grade is he in? And so all of a sudden, they're like, I say, guys, break up right now, go into groups. I want everybody to come back and report to me what everybody's favorite color is. And now they're doing what? Connecting. Because now they're going to remember somebody's name because they remember John likes orange. Timmy likes purple. Mary likes yellow. And all of a sudden, they're now connecting because the next time they see them and they're like, oh, you're wearing your favorite color.
Right.
Oh, cool. Or, hey, I'm going to go get some pizza after class. Or I'm going to go to the supermarket. Or I'm going to Adventureland or whatever it is, right? Now they have communication. But before, they were just in a setting where they felt like, my parents brought me here. I'm just here. Now they're in a place where they're making friends and they're making connections. And now I have little kids hugging each other when they first see each other. Well, before they were apart, now they're doing this. So I think we do have to teach our youngsters the skill of connecting, the skill of listening, because connecting is listening. You mentioned it earlier, Jacqueline. You don't want to just listen to somebody and say, okay, thanks. And instead of, you want to hear what they're saying. And so what is happening in your life? What are you excited about? Instead of like, how's your day?
Or asking the question, what do you do for a living? Like, that's like,
I live.
Don't, it's getting people to understand.
I live for a living. Yeah.
I live, right? Yeah. But
I punch people in the face when they ask me that question.
Yeah, but see, for what you just said, I think you're talking about, like asking people like the colors, and I'm this vision is in my head about being back at overnight camp. Which, by the way, I still think if you don't send your kids to overnight camp, do me a favor, send your kids to overnight camp. They will grow, they will learn, and they will grow. I would go for a month, or actually, I would go for 2 months. That's a whole other story.
Me too.
You'd sit around the room, and outside, and everybody would say their name, and they would say their favorite color, and then they would say like their favorite food or something like that. And then you have to get people to repeat the whole thing back. And it was such a great lesson in number one, getting to know people, B, understanding how to remember that association with something is such a great way to remember somebody's name. Oh, Sifu Red Karate, right? Or something, whatever it is, like whatever those things are, you remember because it's how you also get to associate. And I think we forget that too. We forget that when we meet somebody, those things like saying our names 3 times or saying their name 3 times so that you can put it to memory. And you act like when you get to say it, you actually have to actively listen to their name to remember it, to say it back.
How do you spell your name? Is it with a Q?
Oh my God. And dare you call me Jackie, by the way, please do me a favor. If somebody introduces themselves, listen, people, we're talking about connecting. The best thing you can do is say somebody's name. Do not shorten it for them. I don't care whether you want to shorten it. If I introduce myself as Jacqueline, I'm Jacqueline, right? Not
or Edward. Hey, Ed, how you doing?
Oh, Edward, right? Like, it's not like Scott's going to introduce himself. He's like, hi. And I would say, so Scotty, did he say Scotty? Or Freddie? No. I'm like, sorry. That's a little bit of a pet peeve if you can't tell.
Noticed.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Well, I mean, I think a big part of it is, again, that becomes the respect, honor, and dignity part, right? It
truly is.
When you ask somebody their name, work to hear it and then utilize it. And we all have this opportunity to remember so much information, quite frankly. The question is, have you turned on your memory? And people say, well, I'm terrible with names. Do you know your own name? Well, yeah. Well, then you're not terrible with names. That's a ridiculous statement. It's so, you've been calling people names your entire life, so it's a ridiculous piece of language to even say something like that. If you can remember whatever you choose to remember, quite frankly. But that's the point, is a big part of connection in communication is simply remembering the last conversation or a piece of information or something that honors the other person. And when you can do that, it's absolutely amazing how connected you can be. Quite frankly, you don't have to try that hard because most people aren't very good at it. They choose not to be good at it. So if you are good at it, it differentiates you dramatically from the rest of the crowd. And it's like, oh, you're so caring. Yeah, I care about your name. I care about, things that you say. I want to hear what you want to do. One of my favorite questions to start a conversation is pretty simple. Hey, what's new and exciting in your world? Is just put them on a path of something new and something exciting. And it's amazing. Most people have that going on.
I think that this idea of caring as if, okay, this one I'm going to try to remember. No, I'm not going to try to remember anything. I don't know how to try to remember. That doesn't work, actually. I want to remember this for the rest of my life. Yeah, good. But you're not going to if you don't do anything about like somehow creating an exercise that creates it, which really undoes the sequence of what we hear when someone doesn't remember. See, we hear when someone doesn't remember that they didn't care about what it is that they don't remember. We actually make that equation that the reason they don't remember is they don't care. It's actually not true. They might have really deeply cared, They just didn't put in place that which was necessary in order to remember it. And it's two different things. Just because I care about Scott, which I actually really do, doesn't mean that I'm going to recall everything he says or where he stands on a particular issue. And if I forget, or if I never actually had it in my long-term memory anyways, I risk the possibility that Scott thinks that I don't care, even though my caring was never on the line. The only thing that was on the line is I didn't put in place the sequence to remember that which I'm supposed to care about.
But here's the thing: you also need to admit that, right? Like you can say to somebody, like, I know we had this conversation. Jog my memory. But so many people don't do that one thing. They won't. They'll see somebody. I'm like, oh my god, I know that person. I can't remember their name. So, I say it. I remember meeting you. I'm having a memory issue. I'm having have a brain fart, whatever it is that you have. Like, I remember the conversation, but for some reason I just can't remember the name. So, and it happens, but then say it, like reintroduce yourself. Like, can you remind me of your name? It's just important to me to know your name. I don't know. Just some people don't say anything.
Well, I think that's a much more positive approach to it. It's, hey, refresh my memory, or what was your name again? I want to make sure that I honor you. I mean, there are things that you can say as opposed to, oh, I just don't remember it, which might actually be the case, but there are different ways of saying it that are more honoring in the entire process. Again, connection is an amazing thing. I just recently had somebody I hadn't talked to in years, and they reached out, and we're now about to do a piece of business, and it's not because we have been connected lately, but it's because of the way we left the connection the last time we were together. And that becomes a big part, is truly work to leave people better off for the interaction. We can't control how many people access this show. All we can truly control is the desire to provide content valuable enough to want to consume it. And then not, quite frankly, high intention, low attachment. A high intention of imparting something great for everybody here, a low attachment as to what that is for any individual or even for us, is just have the intention to put out good content so people want this, so they understand the power of human connection.
Let's go ahead and talk about that, the power of human connection, because we've heard this 1,000 times. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And so right there, that is power, right? Because if I know somebody who's going to help me with this, compared to if I just know somebody who doesn't know how to help me with this, that doesn't mean I negate them and don't ever connect with them. They're still important, but maybe not for that instance. So we have to understand, it's almost like a librarian going through the filing system to know where all the books are, where all my connections are. So if we could start looking at people as a powerful connection instead of just a connection, because when I look at the people I know, what do they each individually bring to the table? Because now that person can be connected to this person that I know, and I can introduce them. And what do I become? I become that conductor, right? Not this conductor, but
You
the
become
conductor.
you're a connector. You're a connector. That's relationship capital. That's the formula, right? Relationship capital equals people times action, and the people that you connect with, and the actions that you take to make those connections, and knowing, it's we hear this all the time. Your network is your net worth, right? It's, if we think about the people that you have, that that And if you're the person that is that connector and you're thinking about people and ways that you can make those connections, then what are you doing? You're serving other people, right? You're being of service to others. It will, and people, a lot of people say, well, what's in it for me? Just do it, because it fills your cup, because it makes you, it puts a smile on your face. Because if I can connect Sifu with Scott or Dr. Fred, and they have a beautiful connection and something amazing happens, be happy. Just be happy in that. And it comes back. It's the boomerang. It will come back 1,000 times. But the other part is, and you know, and we hear this all the time, is that you're always one connection away from something great. Because I might know Dr. Fred, and Dr. Fred and I might have this conversation, and then Dr. Fred's gonna be like, oh my God, Jacqueline, you need to meet blank, whoever that blank is. And when I meet blank and I might explode into some amazing thing. But we have to make the connections first. We have to put people together.
Big shout out to Brigitte Hofferly. Brigitte Hofferly connected Scott and I. And what she said to me was, I want you to meet this guy who I think you guys would hit it off tremendously. And here we are. We hit it off tremendously. And we're in each other's worlds. And she was 100% right. So shout out to Brigitte. And when you look at people as people, as powerful as they are, and you get away from the money aspects of it, then you're actually able to really connect people, like Brigitte did with Scott and I. She never said, hey, I'm going to introduce you to Scott, and if you guys do business together, I'm going to need $100 from you.
I want a piece of the pie.
Well, I'm going to need 10% of your business deal.
Yeah.
I would have said, maybe I don't need to meet Scott. Or maybe I do need to meet Scott, because we're going to create $100 million empire and it's worth it. But we don't have that foresight of what was going to happen between Scott and I. And there are people out there who are what? Professional connectors. Look them up. They'll connect you to the right people. They'll put you in the right place. I knew a gentleman who, unfortunately, he passed away from cancer. He did that and became a multimillionaire by connecting the right people with the right experience and the right people. You wanted to be somewhere with the right person, he was your guy. You just had to pay him a little.
Was his name Jose Escobar?
Right. Not at all.
Okay. You know, one of the things that's really interesting here is it keeps reverberating for me is Scott's statement that, you know, and I've heard you say this a few times, Scott, and I try to live by the same edict of leaving someone better off than when you met them. What's really inherent in that statement is don't leave them until they're better off. You have no business leaving someone until they're better off inside of that theory. Just because you're doing bad, that's not time to roll. You can leave that person better off as long as you stay in the game. You don't stop a relationship until you choose to. And, you know, there's something, and then back to the intention here, you know, there's something about or live every moment as if this might be the last one. That also works.
Yeah.
That one works too. Like, we might have to stop next second. And if we have to stop in the next second, I want to do my best to have you better off now.
What's interesting, and Sifu brought up Brigitte. Brigitte was at one of the live events this weekend, which is the only reason I went, was I couldn't get to the event in time to hear her speak, but I could get to the event in time to give her a hug.
Beautiful, man.
Now, what's interesting is I happened to walk in and her speaking time changed, and she was speaking when I got there. So I got to hear her, And because she changed her flight, and I said, so when's your flight? She goes, oh, I got to leave here in just a little bit. But she introduced me to the promoter, who called me on stage within 10 minutes of meeting him. Because of her, he called me onto the stage, and I did about a 5 or 6 minute thing. But then I said, Brigitte, thank you so much. What time's your flight? She told me. And I said, I live 10 minutes from the airport. You just got a hold of Scuba. You don't even have to call. I'm already here. And so I gave her a ride to the airport. But that's the whole point is that's connection.
Yeah.
And I had no clue that I'd have the opportunity to speak. That was a complete shock, actually. But just the fact that I was allowed to connect with a friend who came into town. And it's one of the things that I suggest all the time, especially in CLA. If you come to town in CLA and I know you're coming to town, we're going to get together, and we're not going to get on the phone. We are going to get together. And maybe that is, hey, I don't have time to get together. Good. Were you going to take an Uber from the airport to your hotel? Yeah. Well, now you got Scuba. You got me. And now that gives me the opportunity to have that conversation and do it. And I actually do that a lot with people who come into town. Well, you don't have to do that. I understand I don't have to. I choose to. You're important to me. This relationship is important to me. We don't get to see each other enough. You've got to get from the airport to your hotel anyway. I want to be part of that because I want to have a conversation with you. Again, there's no, hey, I've got this ulterior motive, or I got this great plan, or I want to run something past you. This is, you're my friend, and I want to do something as a friend because I want to leave you better off for the interaction.
I just created a new word.
Hang on a second. I want to share one thing with you guys before we end the show, so take a look.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience, mastermind, where purpose is found.
And Dr. Fred will be speaking in Atlanta with us. Look at that handsome guy. So do us a favor, get your tickets for Atlanta. It's going to be a blast. I just want to say that, Dr. Fred, you're about to speak.
The only thing I was about to say in the form of levity is, wow, he is kind of handsome. I wish I want to, maybe you can connect me with that dude. I feel like we'd get along if we actually knew each other. I think that would be really good. So I made up a new word.
Let's hear it.
It's called Fruber.
Awesome. Where'd you get that from?
That's clever.
That's awesome.
I think the biggest, again, for me, the biggest part of human connection and the power behind it is truly the intention of liking people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just got to kind of like people.
Yeah, it's so true.
You know, there's 8.5 billion people on the planet. I'm pretty sure they figured out how to make more. I don't think they're going to change. I think we're going to be working with people for a long time. You know.
You know, and I like what you said. You know, saying that leaving somebody a little bit better off. You know, at the end of the day, if you can think about, and I've said this before, but it's when you put your head down on the pillow at night, how would you rate yourself that day? You know, did you give yourself a 5-star review? And if you know, did you smile at somebody? Did you change somebody? Did you just lift somebody else up? Because if you did, you can give yourself a 5-star, because it can change somebody's world. It's walking into the grocery store and smiling at somebody and saying hello. It's saying hello to the person when you're, you know, ringing up your order at the cashier, and okay, don't be on your phone, and talk to the person at the cashier. Have a conversation with them. It's amazing, a little thing that you can do to change and make somebody else's day. You know, I'll give an example. You know, it's yesterday we had a banking issue, and I'm sitting with my son, and we were dealing something with his bank account, and we had to call, you know, go through the whole thing, right? You know, get to the person on the phone. And, you know, and the woman was super helpful. Her name was Jamie, super helpful. Don't know what her last name is, but so great. And at the end, she's like, so, you know, anything else I can help you with? And we ended up joking. I was kidding around. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd like to know how you can deposit $1 million in my bank account. You know, I mean, just, it was funny. We were just all joking. And she's like, this has been so great. Thank you so much for making me laugh.
And do me a favor, Jacqueline, because we're at the end of the show, tell somebody what somebody can expect. 30 seconds when they come to your website. When we do that with everybody, 30 seconds.
When you go to my website, you're going to see something right now that says relationship capital. I am all about building relationship capital, and I have a free complimentary 7-day relationship capital challenge that is out. And you will see that on the website actually later today. But connect with me. My goal is to help you actually grow your business by building deeper connections.
Love it. Love it. Dr. Fred, you're up.
Okay. So I think that what you see is what the website is called, is like, Who is Dr. Fred? And so Who is Dr. Fred is you get a little taste of what people, not me. Good story about whoisdrfred.com. Someone called me and told me it was the coolest website they'd ever seen. And I frankly had never seen it. My team created it for me. And when I was like, okay, let me go see what is this thing that talks about who I am? And it was a massive, beautiful experience. So what you get to see, it's frankly headed towards me taking stages. So thank you again for the Atlanta opportunity. I'm so looking forward to that. And so that's what you can expect, is get a little taste of who I am, but really this is who I am. And, you know, I just finished my memoirs this week, and that, you know, that's another place you could go, is welcome to humanitybook.com. Feel free to sign up for the, you can be part of the launch team. I'll get you the book for really cheap, and all you have to do is review it. That's it. It's all good. You don't even have to read it. Just review it. I'd love for you to read it, but review it anyway. And it's time, you know, I really enjoyed, that was such a labor of love to get down to every piece of who I really am. So I now have a better look at who is Dr. Fred as well. And that's what you get when you look me up.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Dr. Fred. Scott, you're up.
I help people either through sales training or messaging, speaker training. I just work to help people communicate their messages more eloquently, smoother, easier, so people respond to them. People make stuff way too hard. So would love to talk to anybody who just wants to have a chat, quite frankly.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. I'm easy to find as well, SifuRafael.com. Who am I? I'm the guy that gets you on stages. I'm the guy that puts you on podcasts. I'm the guy that helps you with your communication skills as well. Scott and I are doing a masterclass on communication. Look out for it. It's coming soon. It's going to be dynamic. Go to my website. You'll find it there as well as soon as we put it together. And I got to tell you, yeah, it's a work in progress, right? We just, the energy is there. Now we got to put it together so we can deliver it correctly, because we may want to say it, but delivering it is the most important, right? And nothing should be done overnight unless it's oats. But have a great night, everybody. Good work. I got to go to my next show. That's my.
Thanks, Sifu. Thanks, Scott. Great,
All right,
Jacqueline.
thank you,
And
guys.
Jacqueline, we'll be meeting soon.
See
I
y'all.
can't wait.
Yep. All right.
Everybody,
Bye.
God bless.